because we in these hot ass Texas streets, honey. Y'all know we got Governor Hot Wheels down there. Come on now. And the only thing hot about him is that he is a hot ass mess, honey. So yes. Right. Okay. All right. I'm gonna move on because I got other people this also hot in these streets.
Good damn afternoon, Americans. Jericho Green here with you once again on X. It is at Green_Jericho on Instagram at JGTalk2. Make sure you like and subscribe. So that right there was the fake ghetto girl, Jasmine Crockett, representative from the state of Texas, or Congresswoman, as I call her. She's at it again. And I'm glad she's at it again. I'm glad that she's saying things like this. I'm glad that they're allowing her to say things like this because they are just ensuring, etching in stone, that they won't be in power anymore. Now, there will always be Democrats. They will fall back, regroup, formulate a new plan, have new people to run. It's not like it's only going to be Republicans running unopposed forever. Duh. But they're severely limiting themselves, and they're letting people know every day when they say shit like this or like that they've learned nothing. And they're not going to change. And all the wild and crazy shit that we did that got Trump into office, that lost us the House, that lost us the Senate, we're not going to correct course. We're going to keep on trucking. We're going to dance with the one that brought us here. So she's talking about Governor Greg Abbott from her own state. He's the governor of Texas, in case you didn't know that. And he's in a wheelchair. I guess back in the 80s, a tree fell on him or something like that, and it put him in a wheelchair. So he's paralyzed from the waist down, and she called him Governor Hot Wheels. Now, that's kind of funny. And I'm sure in his group of friends, amongst his boys, I'm sure they talk shit to him, and they probably got a nickname for him. Probably has a nickname for himself. But it's that damn hypocrisy. I just can't shake. I keep trying to it's like in the movies when the somebody's getting tailed. The good guy is getting followed. And you try to shake the tail. You're cutting down this street and cutting down that street. You're trying to shake the tail. I just can't shake it. I cannot shake the hypocrisy. Come with me for a second. Just imagine in a land far, 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 far away that a Republican representative said about a Democratic representative or Democratic governor who was paralyzed in a wheelchair if they called them Governor Hot Wheels. Even better. Come with me higher up the mountain of hypocrisy. We're going to go to the summit. We're going to go to the peak of Mount Hypocrisy. Imagine if Trump, in one of his Trumpian moments, he's off the cuff, baby, I'm freestyling. It's off the top of the dome. If he called a governor who was paralyzed in a wheelchair, if he called them Governor Hot Wheels. The mainstream mediocres, the talking heads, their faces would melt like the German do, like the Nazi in Raiders of the Lost Ark when they opened the Ark of the Covenant. Yes, Fräulein. That guy, that creepy little clammy motherfucker. As soon as they opened the Ark of the Covenant, dude's face just melted, eyeballs fell out. That's what happened to them. They would all collectively, imagine the stench. Imagine the stench of all the leftist talking heads, the politicians on the news, in Hollywood, all the TDS sufferers, Oh, the Trump's a Nazi, Russia, January 6th was the worst thing. Bill Maher, Ricky Maddow, insert dumbass pervert Hollywood actor name here. They would all grab their own legs, hold their legs up. Yes, even the men. All those men have vaginas. They would all they'd get in a circle and hold each other's legs back. Okay. And then with the other hand, they would flick their means. They would find their G spot and he said, what? They would fucking lose their minds. They would finally have the smoking gun. They would have it. They wouldn't have to stretch. They wouldn't have to reach. They wouldn't have to lie. They wouldn't have to embellish. They wouldn't have to tweak. We finally got Trump with the smoking gun. He called a Democrat leader in a wheelchair Hot Wheels. Blood would come from their nose. Like, they would have the same expression on their face as a 3-year-old standing behind the couch shitting themselves because they don't want you to know. You know that poop face, that I'm shitting myself face. That's what they would have if Trump or any other Republican called a Democrat in a wheelchair Hot Wheels. But this is no average politician. She is draped in 2 layers of bulletproof protection. She is a woman. And not only just a regular woman, she's more woman than woman because she's a black woman. Avert your gaze, do not stare upon the face of the female Negro if you are not yourself a Negro. She is a black woman, a strong black woman. And no matter what comes from her filthy mouth, you cannot question or disagree with because she is a strong black woman. She has dealt with slavery, Jim Crow, and the general ire of the world. She is a black woman. So don't you dare have anything to say about what comes out of her mouth because she is a double protected class. Don't you know who birthed humanity? Don't you know who upholds, who underpins, who holds up society? Don't you know? Don't you know who invented everything, who did everything, who's heard everything, who said everything, who's done everything? Did I say done twice? Well, you can't say enough about the black woman. And she is that. So she's allowed to say stuff. She's allowed to make fun of opposing politicians in wheelchairs. Now, is that going to hurt Greg Abbott's feelings? No. Is that going to give him a moment's pause at all? No. Will he probably laugh when he hears it? Probably. But that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how Greg feels about it, how any of you feel about it. She's on the left. She's a black woman. So she can say whatever the fuck she wants. Now, will she probably give some half-hearted, forced apology where she's more upset that you got upset by what she said rather than apologizing for what she said? Here's one of my pet peeves, all right? If I were King Jericho, you could face time in prison for this. You can either go to prison or you can get 10 lashings in front of the public. People who apologize like this, hey, if I could take it back, I would, but I can't. I hate when people say that. Yeah, we know you don't have a fucking time machine, you asshole. Of course you would go back and take it back so you wouldn't get in trouble. It's not an apology. When you apologize, you tuck your tail, you put your hat in hand, and you apologize for the wrong that you've done. With no addendums, with no, well, if I could, I would. It wasn't my fault, but no. Stop all that shit. Just say, I'm sorry, I messed up. Leave it at that. For anybody out there who has to deliver an apology, here you go. If you don't want to rekindle the flames of their anger, that's how you apologize. I'm sorry. I should have zigged when I zagged. It won't happen again. That's it. Nothing else. Don't try to make yourself look good. Don't try to shift the blame. Just apologize. Take the heat. That's it. That's the price of admission. You did the crime. You do the time. But Jasmine Crockett, that is, and not only is that it's just not good. It's you learn nothing. Your party got the shit kicked out of them. So why don't we try to do something new? Why don't we focus on ourselves for a minute? What do we need to change and change it? Because it's not about how you feel. Jasmine and any politician, it's not about how you feel or what you think. I wouldn't do that. I don't agree with that. It doesn't matter. You work for the American people. What do they want? Do what they want to do. And if they said, we like what this guy's doing, well, maybe you need to align yourself more with that guy. Even though you don't like it, even though you don't agree, you're at work. So shut your mouth and do your job, right? But it's so unprofessional and just so unbecoming. Why would you say something like that? That's just dumb. And she was at some humane society event. Yeah. But she's up there in front of all those barking seals are going to laugh at all her stupid jokes as she goes in and out of her ghetto girl accent. Don't forget, private school, elementary, junior high, high school, and college. She's a rich kid. So you talking about these hot-ass streets, girl, honey, child, please, shut the fuck up. That's something you saw on TV or something you saw somebody else acting that way. That's not you. And even if it is you, put that you away while you're on the clock. I don't want to trust somebody that says, honey child, these hot ass streets. You don't need to be in power. You need to be in a hair salon somewhere. You don't need to be in power. Here's how women and any man or women, any politician, but here's the female version since we're talking about Congresswoman. Let's talk about the ladies. Hey, lady. This is how every female politician should act. Like Mrs. Huxtable. That's how you need to act. Professional, pristine, and proper at all times. Know your shit. Do your job. And be eloquent and professional when you do it. Both verbally and physically, the way you look, your appearance. Be professional and ladylike at all times. Know your job, do your job. Just like Mrs. Huxtable. Remember when they had the family mock trial? Remember when Vanessa and her friends went to that concert and their car got stolen and shit, and their parents thought she was down the street and she's 5 hours away in another state? The tongue lashing that she got when she got home by Mrs. Huxtable? I was watching that shit at home in my living room, and I thought I was in trouble. I was sitting there quiet. Like I was getting talked to. That's how you need to act, Jasmine Crockett, when you're at work. But it's not going to. It's falling on deaf ears. It's not going to penetrate that bulletproof Teflon Kevlar weave she has over her fucking head. She goes to work with somebody else's hair on top of her own. She's single and not married. You shouldn't be a politician. But Jericho, there are so many women who don't have kids and they can boo, 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 boo. Yeah, that might be true. Like Chris Rock said, you can drive with your feet. It's probably not a good idea. I want somebody who has skin in the game, who has a stake in the future. When you're single without a family, you don't see the future the way that we do. You don't care about it the way that we do. You can't. It's impossible because you don't have a stake in it. But when you have children, when you have somebody to leave this world to, then you care how it's going to look when you're gone. That's what we need in our politicians. There, I said it. Meet me in the comments. But what do you think of this dumbass clown? How bad would the outrage be in the backlash if Trump were to say this about a wheelchair Democrat? Talk to me, Goose. You know how we in these damn videos. Good gun. That's where I highlight a story where an American flexes their Second Amendment muscle and gives the bad guys exactly what they deserve. And this today on Good Gun, this is what happens when you try to take property that doesn't belong to you. But you know how it goes. I try to be done with the left, but they just won't let me. I'm out.
Well, Christy and Rick, that attempted carjacking and shooting has really startled neighbors who live here in Pensport. They say they get their fair share of sketchy behavior underneath this I-95 overpass here behind me, but they say a shooting is out of the ordinary. Neighbors in Pensport say safety concerns are heightened following what police are calling an attempted carjacking under the I-95 overpass in the 1400 block of South Front Street Tuesday morning.
I heard a loud boom or a bang kind of sound.
Zion Argon says she was awakened from her sleep around 5 o'clock after hearing what she says sounded like the unusual ring of gunfire.
And a few seconds later, I heard someone shout.
Just a few feet away from her home on South Front Street, police say they found an unidentified male believed to be between 18 and 22 years old, unresponsive, suffering from a gunshot wound to the abdomen. Police say that man, who was later pronounced dead at the scene, was one of two offenders who attempted to carjack a 38-year-old man inside the former United Artists Theater parking lot. We're told the 38-year-old pulled a weapon and delivered the fatal shot in self-defense.